Love, live, life. Life can be glorious and hideous. Stick your feet to the ground, but don't think you are counted out. Don't let the wind pull you and tear you apart. Let yourself live freely and love, and you'll be happy. No limits. Just keep on.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Iron Will podcast with me, Shane Warner, and
John Chase.
So what this podcast is all about is we are trying to get stories from people that have been through a traumatic experience in their lives and came out a different person.
Yeah, they have all created an iron will. So what is an iron will? A burning determination that cannot be stopped or hindered by anything, willing to do anything to get a desired outcome, extremely resilient. So what we like to say is just keep punching.
Yeah. So sit back and relax, and we're going to start the show.
Today we have an amazing person, and I'm actually going to have him introduce himself. But just so we are aware, we have Shane with us, of course.
Yep.
And here we go. This guy Cam, he's going to introduce himself. We're gonna ask him some questions, but let's get it going. All right, Cam.
All right, yeah. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me today, guys, and definitely like to share my story and answer any questions you guys might have.
Yeah, you bet.
Awesome. So, Cam, I kind of want to start out like with where you. Just kind of a little bit of background of where you were born, kind of how your childhood was, and then we'll get into the details of your story after that.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so I was born just in a small town of Payson, Utah. So growing up here, basically in the area, when I was 16, we moved up to Santaquin, which is like 5 miles south, just a smaller city. So
it's a small place,
really small place. So.
But it's growing lately.
Oh, it is, yeah.
They got cool. A Macy's.
my parents actually moved up there. They moved. It's called the Bench. Like they just had an amazing view and just got a really nice house there.
That's
when I was 16, and so still went to Payson High. So just basically stayed in that same area my whole childhood until I went on my mission. And I actually have a pretty. These guys don't know my whole story. I actually had a pretty unique childhood, I feel like, as well. So my dad and mom both were teachers, but my dad has a lot of health problems. And when I was about 1 year old, just started getting, was diagnosed with 3 conflicting blood diseases, started getting vertigo severely to the point where he'd have to miss a lot of work. And so he actually ended up having to quit work when I was about 2 years old. And my mom was... She'd already graduated from BYU, but she wasn't really using her degree. She was a teacher's aide, just for part of the day, just while the kids were at school and whatnot. But she went back and got a master's degree in special education and became the breadwinner for our family while my dad was struggling with his health problems. And so it's definitely changed. I respect both of them for the way they handled that unexpected challenge in life.
Yeah,
sure.
Because obviously that wasn't the plan. So,
no.
And we had 4 kids. They had 4 kids. My dad got married later in life, so they had 4 kids in 5 years, and my youngest brother's autistic. So there was a lot of other challenges. So life was busy and challenging anyways. And then that curveball, it's something that I don't think they planned on happening, but my mom just knew that that's what she had to do. And my dad's 73 now, and got some. We actually really didn't know if he was going to make it this past few weeks. He got pneumonia and got it so severely that he was just incoherent, and we thought he was having dementia and whatnot as well. And he's doing a little bit better now, but he's still struggling. And so anyways, that's it. I had a life kind of where like I was always really active and into sports and different things, and I have really parents that are supportive. But my dad couldn't go to a lot of things because of his health. He's in bed a lot of the day, and then obviously it just. I respect my mom for doing what she did, but then I respect my dad for continuing to push and try to do his best, even with some crazy stuff. So
So did you? That seems like it'd be kind of a hard, in a way, a hard upbringing. Seeing that kind of thing, and I mean, you being involved in sports. You say that you played basketball, you played some football, you ran track.
basketball, football, track, and cross country. So,
Okay.
yeah, I did basically everything with the sports where you're not moving a lot, like baseball. And when I started getting into tennis after high school,
Hey! Don't be making fun of baseball.
Yeah.
That's Shane's.
That's my
it's funny because my best friends were actually two of the best baseball players on the team. So I go support them and go to all the games, but I'm just like, it's too much standing for me. I got to be out.
Yeah. So Cam had told me earlier that his best mile was a 4:16. Am I right?
4:16. Yeah.
Man.
Dude, that's really good. So you could have ran track in college. You could have done.
I had scholarships to a lot of different places, but then right after my mission, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and that definitely changed the course of my life in a lot of different ways. So, but I ended up not running for college, but because I was in such good shape, that's probably why I'm here today. So
So let's talk about that. So, you come back from it was an LDS mission.
LDS
right?
mission, yeah.
Okay, so you came back from that, and that's a 2-year
mission.
2-year mission. Okay, so that's some time off, right? From running and all that kind of stuff. Your health, and you come back. How did that go down? Like, how was the diagnosis?
I'll actually tell you the full story. So this is where it gets pretty crazy, and I could actually be really upset with a lot of people because there's a lot of people that kind of what I call it dropped the ball. So at the beginning of my mission, about 2 months into it, so mission presidents are out for 3 years. But one of the mission presidents, it was time to go home. So about 2 months into my mission, there was a new mission president, and he came in right when I started having some really bad health problems. I was getting vertigo almost every day. To the point where I was throwing up almost every day for about a month and a half.
Wow.
I lost about 20 pounds, and we didn't know what was going on.
And you were already pretty lean.
Yeah, I was already like 150-ish. So like, what I'm saying is I was weak and sick. You could tell.
Yeah.
We were trying to go figure out what was going on. Like I was going to specialists on the mission, vertigo specialists, a bunch of different doctors, and they ruled out that I had position vertigo. There's 2 different types of vertigo. Positional vertigo, when you get it when your body's in a certain type of position because the crystals in your ears drop or whatever. I didn't have that. So we just thought it was hereditary. So my dad, I mentioned, had a lot of health problems. Vertigo was one of the things that he just got really bad, and nobody was able to ever help him for that. He just gets it when he gets it, and it's really bad and can last days. And so we just thought it was hereditary. And obviously it's not fun, but we were trying to get the help, and on different medication, nothing worked. So then they told me to get an MRI on my mission. So just to rule out anything. So I actually got an MRI, and it showed the start of my tumor. So check this out. So it showed it was so tiny that they thought it was a brain bleed. And they just, when I asked them the results, the mission president's wife said things were good. Nothing showed up. So we just assumed everything was good. And obviously she made a mistake. She just assumed that I knew that I must have had an injury when I was younger or something. And it was supposed to be followed up on in 3 months. So this was 2 months into my 2-year mission. So already had the tumor. It was supposed to be followed up in 3 months, but I didn't know that. My family didn't know that. She told my parents things were good. So anyways, 2 years later after my mission, about 2 months after my mission, I started having blurry vision to the point where...
And were you experiencing symptoms on your mission?
So after this point, besides the really bad vertigo that for a month and a half where I lost 25 pounds, I'd still get it, but I'd just get it occasionally. So that's where we thought this is just a hereditary thing. It sucks. It's something
didn't seem like a big deal.
I mean, it still did, but something that I'll just probably have to deal with throughout my life. Because my dad, it's you know what I mean. We just thought it was a hereditary thing with in that aspect. So anyways, 2 years later, I was about 2 weeks away from starting school at UVU, going to run track for them. Like I said, I was running all the time because to maintain your mile time in the 4 minutes area, you have to be...
Yeah. You got to train. You got to train all the time.
I was actually running 7 miles a day to maintain my time, not to improve it, so to maintain it. And so I was just eating the right type of stuff, but I was working a job called I Am Flash in Lehigh, and it was a really good paying job. We thought it could turn into something even career-wise, even though I was going to school, but I was getting rides to and from there because almost daily my vision was just I couldn't see the lines on the road. It was getting worse. It was hard to do my job even because my vision was just terrible. So we were going to ophthalmologists. We went to several different ones trying to figure out what was going on. They couldn't tell us what was going on other than I had astigmatism and things. And I'm like, well, my eyes look awful. You could actually just see they looked awful, but that's just not normal to have it get worse every day. And I couldn't watch the TV comfortably. I couldn't see words. I couldn't read books. So finally we got, after kind of just going through all the ophthalmologists we could think of and nothing working out. We didn't think anything was crazy because I was such a healthy person. Does that make sense? I was eating right, like I was active.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so we're like, well, we've ruled out all the stuff. Let's get an MRI. And so we get an MRI, and they asked me when my last MRI was. And I said on my mission early on, but they didn't find anything. And they looked it up, and they said, actually, they did find it.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh.
So that's actually when you found out.
So, I mean, they didn't tell me that until after we went back in. First of all, they called my whole family back in after the MRI the next day. And so we knew it was something pretty crazy. And then that's when they told us that. So we knew it was something when they called our whole family.
But they noticed that on the previous one, because of the charts, they saw that there actually was something.
Yeah. And so there was probably a letter sent to the mission office that's supposed to be followed up in 3 months. So the mission office gets hundreds of letters every day because there's 150 missionaries or whatever. And I don't know if this was why it happened, but I actually served in the mission office my last 9 months, which is a rare thing. And I was in charge of the mail. So I saw how
often people get
and
mail,
so how something that needs to be followed up on could easily be lost. But yet the big problem, I think, was not just that it was supposed to be followed up in 3 months, but that if the mission president's wife would have just told me, yeah, they found something, it doesn't seem serious, it was we would have been like, wait, I've never had a head injury or anything, and then we would have.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So there just was a big.
So is there any resentment about that, or
there was for a long time, both towards my mission presidents, but I know that they didn't intentionally do it, but there still was because it changed. It changed the course of my life. Like I should have died. So but not only should have died, but like I had to relearn everything for school. Like I never was like one of those guys that was really good at building stuff and good with my hands, but I knew like I was going to get a master's or PhD because school just came easy for me. Yeah. And then after that, I had to relearn everything. So I really felt like I didn't have any strengths anymore. Yeah. And it really got me depressed. Besides having health stuff, I'm like, well, now what am I supposed to do with my life? So,
wow. So can you tell us what kind of things you had to relearn?
Yeah. So basically it just severely affected my short-term memory. So that's basically what I had. It's basically not relearning stuff, but like, so if I was to study for something that used to come really easy for me, I could retain it, but then for like tests or something a week later, like I'd have to study just abnormal amount or all day the day before because I wouldn't retain it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. With my brain injury, I have a really hard time reading fast. And so I can totally relate to that aspect of your brain tumor.
Yeah. Like I actually was to the point where I didn't know what I should be doing, like, because that was just my plan after the mission. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to be a physical therapist or a college professor, something that requires more schooling because that's what I'm good at, and I'd be fine with doing those jobs. And so I had to really convince myself that I have to try school because I'll regret it if I don't try it. Because I knew I was very aware that my brain had changed, and I didn't know if I could do it, if that makes sense. When
they brought your family in and all that kind of stuff, how long ago was that from now? What year was this?
So I think I told you it's been about 9 years since I've been done with everything. Okay. Because I was in the hospital it's crazy. So I tell people 2.5 years. So you do chemo for 2 weeks and then you have 2 weeks off. Wow. And then you go do that. And I did that for 2 years and then I did 6 months of just straight radiation. So they gave me 30% chance to make it. The brain tumor was in the middle of my brain and it was golf ball size now by the time they caught it, and it spread throughout my body. So it was pretty. They gave you only a 30% chance of making it, and yet I'm actually looking at you right now. Yeah. So that's miraculous crazy. There. Yeah, I feel grateful. But I also, like you said, and I don't try to, but because there are some challenges that exist now that don't exist before. Like even now, like I get vertigo probably about 5 to 10 days a month, which is, so the job I'm working now, I've got a master's degree, I'm highly educated. I have to work a job that's flexible because a job won't let you to miss 5 to 10 days a month. Yeah. Oh, right. And I just never know when it's going to come. So that's just something that, and obviously there's some hereditary vertigo probably there too, but like it's gotten a lot worse ever since the tumor, if that makes sense. So yeah, there is some challenges. And so there is a little bit, I'm like, there's always the like, what if you just would have caught it then? They could have just plucked it out and I could have just, but I really feel like, you kind of have to accept. You have to accept it is what it is. Like, and things, and even if you don't believe things happen for a reason, like that doesn't change anything to be mad. And so like it's what happened, and I can either just be mad forever, and I can still be mad. There's nothing wrong with being mad. It's people drop the ball. But I still have, if I want to be happy, then I have to make the choice to do what I can and realize, yeah, there are some limitations now, but
Sure.
But like and that's really